Bert, would you mind leading us in prayer tonight to start this meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, that's good. I'll speak up.
Father, we thank you for this day and for everything that has taken place and for every person that is in this room. Ask that you give us a heart and a mind to be conciliatory when needed and to be effective where necessary. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please. Roll call.
Manal,
Here.
Shaver,
Here.
Cassidy,
Here.
Schaefer, Mendoza, here, Logston,
Here.
Lake.
Here. Good. Everyone should have received minutes from the previous council meeting. Any discussion? Changes, corrections, amendments, etc., etc.?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes by Mr. Shaver, second by Mr. Cassidy. Call the roll.
Manal,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Mendoza, yes, Logston,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
All right, those minutes are official. We have some communiques.
Thank you. I have a couple letters to read. This one's quite long, so try to speed it along.
Do best you can, right?
Dear Ms. Kaiser, please be advised that I represent Ms. Heidi Kaufman, former City Director of Finance, who was terminated from her position on March 9, 2023. Please be further advised that the City of Fostoria, its elected officials, officers, and employees, including but not limited to members of City Council, hereafter clients for ease of identification, must maintain all files, documents, and information relating in any manner to Heidi Kaufman. And I further give notice to instruct your clients not to destroy, delete, conceal, or alter any of the documents that relate to Ms. Kaufman or the following. Anything described in Ohio Civil Rule 34A1, electronically stored information including on personnel or work email systems or servers, papers, electronic files including deleted files and file fragments, cellular phones, tablets, computers, smartwatches, and the like, text messages, IM messages, emails, electronic accounts, accounts with or related to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Amazon, Reddit, Apple, Google, Gmail, Microsoft, or Yahoo. Social media including but not limited to Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and LinkedIn. Electronic chat and related logs, for example, Slack, Discord, Skype, IRC. Storage media, for example, hard drives, flash storage, cloud storage, disk, tape, electronic devices, or backups. During the probable litigation, our client will have the right to obtain from your clients numerous documents and things, including files stored on the respective computers and storage media. As part of discovery in the probable lawsuits, our clients may propound discovery requests to your clients, which may include requests for the production of documents, electronically stored information, and tangible things. To avoid spoliation, your clients must provide the requested data, documentation, and information on original media. Do not reuse any media to provide this data. Electronic documents and the storage media on which they reside contain relevant, discoverable information beyond that which may be found in printed documents. Therefore, even where a paper or hard copy exists, our client will seek all documents in their electronic form along with information about those documents contained on the media. Our client will seek paper printouts of only those documents that contain unique information after they were printed out, such as paper documents or containing handwriting, signatures, marginalia, drawings, and notations, highlighting and rejections, along with any paper documents for which no corresponding electronic files exist. Our client's prospective discovery requests may also ask for certain data on disks, drives, and back media used in connection with your client's computer systems, some of which data are not readily available to an ordinary computer user, such as deleted files and file fragments. Your client's agents who encounter information relating to this probable litigation in any manner must take every reasonable step to preserve this information. Their failure to do so may result in significant sanctions. You should forward a copy of these instructions to all individuals or entities that are responsible for or may possess any information relevant to the potential litigation, including, without litigation, any third-party information technology providers. Yours truly, Timothy Hoover, Hoover Law Office.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another,
I have another letter.
please.
Dear Fostoria City Council, please accept this letter as notification that I am resigning from my position as City Council person for Ward 2 and all appointed committees for the City of Fostoria effective tomorrow, which is today, March 21st, 2023. I apologize that I am not able to provide more notice. However, due to personal reasons, I must resign from my position immediately. I appreciate the opportunity to serve the people of Fostoria, and I hope that I brought positive change to our community in the short time I have served. I will continue to forward emails that I receive concerning city business through April 15th. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Sincerely, Mike Schaefer.
Any others?
I do not have anything.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to accept that resignation.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Manal to accept Mr. Schaefer's resignation, second by Mr. Cassidy. Let's call the roll.
Manal,
Yes.
Shaver,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Mendoza, Logsdon,
Yes.
Lake.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that we have a Ward 2 vacancy. We will accept letters of interest and a resume can be sent to the clerk. It's like the other ones, I guess. Sure. Through email, or you can drop them off, I guess, or drop them off the mayor's office. They'll get to us. Accept them through April 14th, because I don't think we want that little notice for next meeting. We have enough else going on. And then on the 18th, we'll have them appear before us, state their case, and make an appointment on the 18th. I thought about doing the meeting before then, but I just don't think that's enough time to get the word out and really make sure that there's a thorough candidate search. Reminder, the person must live is a ward seat, that large seat, that must reside in Ward 2 and must be a registered voter. There you go. Must have a pulse. That always helps. Any discussion, any better ideas? Open to, if you want to do it sooner, but like I said, I'd rather get the word saturated out there, get all possible candidates before we make a selection. Very good. So you put that in the associated paper, whatever.
A notice,
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for.
public notice.
Yes,
I can do that.
thank you.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
will we be appointing the committee positions that are available then as well?
We will look at the committees, I think sort of based off of the strengths of the person that we appoint.
Okay,
Let's get the appointment first, and then
Okay.
we'll look at their strengths and see if we need to move some people around or how that will fit up. We're not just gonna plug and play, if that's the question.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we'll, if someone has a passion one way or experience one way, it might behoove us to make other adjustments as well.
okay.
So there you go. Okay, going on with committee reports. Finance Committee?
Thank you, Mr. President. We did have a very brief meeting this evening at which we approved the minutes from the last meeting and set the meeting for the next meeting to be April 18th at 5:30 p.m. We are hoping to have a little more correspondence with the open Director of Finance position and see some reporting from that office and the state of Ohio at that point for the current months. That is our report.
That's 5:30, you said?
5:30 on the 18th.
Very good. I believe the other committees, right now we sort of hit pause until there's reason. Any, that's what I'm.
I should mention it was reported that we
Sure.
currently have 3 applicants for the finance director's position.
Yes. So, thank you for amending that. I appreciate it. All right, very good. So Public Affairs and Law and Ordinance, just let us know if the situation changes. Beautiful. Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, Ellen had asked we pass out this information about the 13th annual railroad dinner that's open to the public on Wednesday, May 24th this year at the depot. We're having the program speaker, Alan Stouter, the Ohio Operation Lifesaver State Coordinator, and a retired NS employee. So the information on there if anyone wants to attend that dinner, and also schedule of this year's events for the Rail Preservation Society, the Rail Festival in September, and Santa Depot and their wine and cheese in December. So keep yourselves scheduled up to date for that. We begin meetings, I believe, next week or later this week for that annexation agreement, hopefully a new 20-year agreement between the city and Loudon Township and Jackson Township. Those will take up again fairly soon. Invite you to the city's Easter egg scramble on Saturday, April 1st. Doors open at 10:30. I know the Fostoria Arts Council will be involved with some things for the kids to do. I believe the Easter Bunny will be there for photos, and then the scramble starts at 11, broken up in age ranges to keep kids from getting trampled, and a jolly good time will be had by all. And then, as you have most undoubtedly seen, the Columbia Gas project is a full go on Lytle Street in anticipation of being finished before our July paving of that section of Lytle Street, Mid-Block, and South Street. And we'll be having a meeting within the next week with ODOT to discuss the 2025 repaving of the rest of Lytle, down 23 and out the 23 south city limits. So those talks continue and appear to be on schedule for summer paving of 2025 for the rest of Lytle Street on an 80-20 split between the state and the city. I believe that's all I have for tonight.
Questions for the mayor? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Safety Service Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just have one item. In light of the recent rail incidents throughout the country, we actually have our fire department, police department, and street department. They're going to be attending one of 6 or 7 trainings offered at the Bellevue Norfolk Southern Rail Yard. It's an 8-hour session. They cover topics such as locomotive emergencies, responding to railroad emergencies, response track or strategies and tactics, safety around the railroad, understanding rail shipping documents, tank car identification assessment, tank car valves and fittings. So we feel that this kind of training is free. We're not having to pay anything. It's put on by Norfolk Southern. Those 3 departments are the most likely to respond to any kind of emergencies that would occur in Fostoria, so they've been the ones that have been tasked out to go to this training. So we're excited to see what kind of information they bring back. I know the mayor's looking at attending one of the trainings also. I'm looking to see which training fits into, because we're all going at different dates and times. So we're not just, the city's not left empty. But, so that's valuable information. Hopefully we can bring back and use as an asset to the city.
That included the fire?
Fire, police, and
Good,
street.
good.
And fire and police was kind of the obvious choice, but street, if something does happen, where we would be tasking them out probably with some of the recovery efforts and something like that. So that's why it made sense to include street in that also.
Okay.
And like I said, this is at no cost to the city.
It's free.
Questions, Mr. Clark? Very good. Thank you, sir. Now, Law Director.
Thank you. I handed out my office's annual report to everyone. After you have a moment to look that over, if you have any questions, just let me know. And the new business tonight, it's regarding the CRAs that we have passed. That's just the annual review that we need to pass. The ordinance should be passed as emergency because the deadline is, I think, March 31st. It has to be certified to the auditor. So if you guys can pass that as an emergency tonight, I appreciate that. And that's all I have.
Yeah, the Tax Incentive Review Committee did meet just last week to discuss all of those that would pass passed with the treasurers of Vanguard and Fostoria City Schools present at the time. So everyone was in agreement that everyone was in compliance, so that we could get that back to the state then by the end of this month. So we're pleased.
The only question I had was on the Mott and Bailey assets. Is that being redeveloped here in town? Is that-
The downtown project.
Yeah, okay. I just making sure I understood. Thank you.
Very good. Questions for the law director? Excellent, thank you, discussion. Now is the time for members of the public who wish to address council to do so. Come forward, state your name and address, and make sure you write it down, or Madam Clerk gets very upset.
I do.
You have 3 minutes to state your case.
Good evening.
Roger.
My name is Michael Burton. I'm going to give you my address as the church address, 534 Lynn Street here in Fostoria. I'm the pastor there. This church is 134 years old this year, so that is a milestone. However, we do have a concern. The alley next to our church has such a big ruts on both sides of it that if I drive my sports car down through there, I'm going to take off all of my undercarriage. So I cannot do that. There's also, it hinders a regular car. The only cars that can really use it are SUVs, or you got to ride on the middle hump and into the church's yard to get down there. Now, one of our trustees already filled in the major big holes at the end of that alley. It took 3 truckloads for him to fill that in, and he filled it in himself. But that alley needs some attention, and I was told that it was never brought to the council, and I didn't know who our person was that would handle it. So I came back. I live in Toledo. When I came back tonight just to make sure that I was here to address that, if we could tell me who the appropriate person is, we can get that, hopefully we can get that taken care of.
All right, that's right.
I think you go ahead. Could you address that? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it.
All right. All right, that's all I needed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing the word with us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Other public comment tonight? Hey, Ms. Villiers.
Hello. Good evening. I'm just came here today to make sure that council got the paperwork. I did meet our commander out in the parking lot, and he said he did drop off the paperwork to the mayor and to Sarah in regards to our request. He also said he sent it in for the council to have their copy, so hopefully you've gotten your copy. We are respectfully requesting that you look at the boundaries of the DORA. When the boundaries were made, our parking lot, the Legion was not included in it. Allegedly, we were told that during the review that for the next review that they would address it. So they have put in the request for you guys to look at to see. It does take a few weeks to do the paperwork to get that DORA reestablished. It's just a paper trail. You got to put it in the paper for 2 times, and the council has to vote on it, and the paperwork has to be submitted to the legislative authority of the DORA, and then it's taken care of. But we wanted to make sure that you had received your copy and that you were aware that that is our request, so that we might be able to this summer be able to do some things out in the back. So that's why I'm here to mention. And I do want to thank Mr. Clark and the mayor for getting that approval signed for me for the alleyway. I'm looking very forward. I have Margaret Media coming in to take photos tomorrow, so looking very forward to being able to include that in downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Villiers. Here, Mr. Kodak.
Good evening. Bob Kodak, 325 Perry Street. Real brief, I mentioned to Mr. Manel before we started that they did do a reassessment of the watershed that supplies water to Fostoria. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but it came out in January. And they just said that it is critical that we look for other sources because our watershed here could be contaminated rapidly if we had a train wreck, truck wreck, or water came from the landfill. I know all of you have gotten this map that I produced that shows how close our water comes from near the landfill. And then recently, but in that report, they still didn't see the landfill when they did it on-site. This is an EPA report. So, interesting. In the fire that was out there over the weekend, I got a little concerned about that. If we get a bunch of rain that we're supposed to get, that all starts washing off, goes into the tributaries of the east branch of the Portage, comes down the Portage, and we pump our water out of it into the reservoir. So I guess I would ask the mayor to make sure that the water department guys are watching that pretty close. If we get a lot of rain, I know we need water in the reservoirs, but at the same time, I don't know if that's very good stuff to be putting in there, since all of the SO2 and everything else that's went up in the air. If it rained, it came down on those hills, now it burnt, now there's burnt ash, and then we're gonna get that in our water system. So, just a short word of caution, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was nice to see you. Other members of the public tonight? Good evening.
My name's Casey Gregory. My husband and I were the ones that had the tree fall on our truck about a month and a half ago. I've reached out to a few different people and have not gotten any response. I just have questions for Fostoria's tree committee on their hazardous tree inventory, the policy and procedures, what you look for, how you determine that trees are hazardous or need maintained, the timeline on that maintenance, how often you investigate the trees in the city, and then what you consider hazardous to life and property. Like I said, I've reached out to a few different people, voicemail, email, and have had no response, so I'm here.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you have the safety service director get your information so we can get a reply of some sort. Okay. Make sure you have the information.
Yeah, we have been looking at those ordinances, and also we have been in the discussion with the Tree and Beautification Committee, talked about, actually reached out to a company to see what they could do for us for a hazard tree estimation through the city. And so we're working with them. Now, the last time a full report was done like that was quite a few years ago. Most of the time, trees are looked at on either storm damage or reports from citizens with an issue with the tree, and then they're looked at by either our street department, or if there's one that we have a question about, then we call in Stephanie Miller from the Department of Natural Resources to take a look at. And so most of our trees right now are complaint driven, as far as or storm damaged and that kind of thing. So I don't know. I know that Josh had reached out to the insurance company and turned that claim in, and so I don't know.
Yeah, the day after, when we were alerted to the claim, we just turned it over to the insurance company. That's kind of our process that we do, and the adjuster takes it from there.
Okay. It just said that it wasn't on your guys' list to maintain, and it, I feel, should have been, because it's very hollow. I mean, there was maybe like a 3-inch wall. So I guess I was just frustrated on that part. But.
I understand the frustration. I sent her the pictures that we had, and they made the determination.
Yeah.
And that was based on, I saw what you meant.
Yeah. Okay.
In the past, I knew there was a arborist, a state arborist or someone brought in, maybe it was 2019 or so, because we had gotten a chunk of cash from the Fostoria fund.
Well, that's who we were working with,
Right.
was the state arborist, but what we talked about in the tree beautification committee was to have, because we were checking trees on the time that she was able to come in and look at them.
Right.
And we did remove some trees, but it started over on the west side of town. So what we had talked about in the beautification committee was reach out to a company that does this kind of thing for cities. So I did get an answer actually from them today where we're going to try to work on doing a full assessment of the community.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do with the tree and beautification committee, was to have not only an assessment of, at least what we're looking at right now, is to try to do an assessment of what trees are hazardous and then also an inventory of trees in the community.
I just remember even myself sending an email in the past, I can't say exactly when. There's only a tree on North Street that had big branches hanging out over the street, called out by the neighbors saying, hey, it's gonna be a matter of time.
Yeah.
Better take it down before it falls on somebody something, so.
Yeah, and a lot of our.
That's what I'm looking for.
Well, so a lot of what we've done in the past were complaint driven or storm damaged trees, just
Okay.
because of.
Well, that tree's still there.
who
Well,
they were.
Like the nice woman that was here about her tree, it is removed. So council, I believe I briefed you on that last time we were here, was down last Saturday.
Good.
It's a process, so we do put them on the list, and as we subcontract all that out, all that work. It's not done by our city employees.
Well,
typically.
no,
It
these
goes
are
down.
big.
Yeah, so it's on a list with Chris.
All right. I'll find out what I knew about that and let you know again. Thank you.
Can I ask another?
Please, no.
So per the ordinances that are online, that the committee's responsibility is to investigate and have an annual plan. So that's not happening, or?
Well, that's the
So-
same conversation that we had in the tree and beautification committee meeting to, that committee, I don't know that they were aware of that particular ordinance, because I know that I wasn't. And so that's one of the things we talked about, having our attorneys and reach out to the people at the Department of Natural Resources to see exactly how that ordinance should really read for that tree and beautification committee, because that's putting an awful lot of onus onto people that are just volunteers in the committee and may not necessarily be tree experts. So we have to take a second look at that ordinance to figure out what it should say, what other communities say, and that along with what we're trying to get accomplished with the Davie Tree Service, then potentially do an inventory and some sort of hazard tree mitigation program using the rest of that money that we got from the settlement from Sunny Farms landfill.
So there's nothing we can do with our tree now, because I'm glad this was a lesson learned for the city, but we're out a whole entire truck that was totaled. So. That's all I got.
Yeah,
If you could, I'm sorry.
I signed it already.
Did you? Okay.
Yep, thank
She wanted me to make sure. Thank you very much. Other public comment today?
you know,
Just one was supposed to say hi.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let us continue on with some more business.
An ordinance adopting an amendment to the 2023 financial recovery plan for the city of Fostoria and declaring an emergency.
That is the second reading of that ordinance. Next, please.
An ordinance adopting and amending ordinance number 2022-75, permanent 2023 appropriations by appropriating from unappropriated funds in the water fund and declaring an emergency.
That is the second reading of that ordinance. And conclusion of old business. New business, please?
New business. An ordinance accepting the recommendation of the Tax Incentive Review Council and declaring emergency to exist.
First reading of that.
Mr. President, make a motion to suspend the three reading rule on three separate occasions.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the three reading rule by Mr. Lake, second by Mr. Logston. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
That rule is hereby waived.
Move to adopt.
Second.
To adopt by Mr. Lake, second by Mr. Shaver. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Abstain.
Shaver?
Yes.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
Just double checking. This guy's at 5 is an acceptable number for this, correct?
Yep.
Just double checking. Thank you. That becomes ordinance 2023-23. 23. Very good. And that concludes new business. Do you have anything else, executive session wise or miscellaneous wise?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Shaver, second by Mr. Logston. Let's call the roll.
Manel?
Yes.
Shaver? Cassidy?
Yes.
Mendoza?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Lake?
Yes.
Fine.